introduction. Thank you. Hello, MadFest 2025. I am your headline speaker, which is basically the closest I'm ever going to get to Glastonbury. And I also know I'm standing between you and a pint at the MadFest pub. But I am actually going to speak to you today about pints, pubs, and personalisation. And before I start, I did call this pints, pubs, and personalisation, but I have kind of a confession to make. I hate beer. I have not had a pint in 15 years. I don't drink beer, and I work for the UK's largest hospitality group, UK's largest pub group, and presenting in a fucking brewery of all places, but I hate beer. I don't drink it, will not drink it. So why did I call it pints, pubs, and personalisation? Well, for one reason, personalisation. And now this is day 2 of MadFest on the DigiAd stage, retail media focus, and I know you're all probably thinking, Jess, that is really fucking boring. Personalization is the basics for retail media. We all know this. Of course, Heineken, do not spend your hard-earned marketing money speaking to me. I will not buy your product politely. I love a glass of rosé, as you can see, ideally with an ice cube in it. PG tips, don't advertise to me. I'm not buying your tea. Definitely not buying decaf tea. I like a coffee. And yes, that's a picture of me the day after maybe I had a couple too many rosés. Baker's dog food, don't advertise to me. I don't have a dog, I have a cat. This is my cat. Her name is Gretchen Wieners. I love her. Isn't she really cute? I love her, right? And did I kind of go on the story just to try and shoehorn a picture of my cat into my MadFest deck? Yes. But I know that's not why you're here for, even though I would talk about Gretchen for as long as possible. But we all know personalization is really basic. We all know it in this room. We know it in retail. We know it in grocery. So why is it so game-changing in hospitality? For those of you that don't know me, my name is Jess. I am the Director of Media and Loyalty at Stonegate. Stonegate is the UK's largest hospitality retailer. We have about 4,500 sites across the UK. Some brands you might know, like Be It One, Walkabout, Slug and Lettuce, Pop World, but most of our estate are local community pubs that you don't really realise are part of a much larger collective group. And our mission is bringing people together for a passion for great pubs, bars, and venues. And now I joined Stonegate about 18 months ago. Never worked in hospitality, always worked in retail and FMCG. My last 7 years I spent at Tesco Media, so I'm particularly excited to be on the Tesco Media stage, so big up to all my Tesco peeps. Thank you for having me. And one of the things I really learned quite quickly since joining Stonegate is hospitality is a really, really difficult industry. This is our mission, bringing people together through our passion for great pubs, bars, and venues. And I don't have actually any stats, but hospitality was one of the hardest hit industries during COVID, during lockdown. And what it means is the way people eat, drink, socialize has fundamentally changed. And we as a group need to change in order to keep up with our consumers. So it creates this kind of existential question of who are we? Are we an operator or are we a retailer? And if you were listening 60 seconds ago, I introduced myself as working for the UK's largest hospitality retailer, so you probably know where I stand, but stick with me because no one in Stonegate would call us a retailer. No one. No one in hospitality would do the same. And we are an operator at our heart. And what that means is the Great British Pub is so integral into our culture, into our society. The role it plays in all of our lives is very different than retail. The experience we offer is second to none, and the best way I can kind of bring it to life, and I'm going to annoy someone in the room, so I'll take my pick as I go, but if it's the end of a long day, do you look around to your friends, to your colleagues, to your family and say, it's been a long day, let's go down to the pub? If anything, you probably say pub, and that's it. It's a one-word question, right? Or do you say, it's been a really long day, should we go down to Asda? Sorry, Asda team, love you, no offense, right? But fundamentally, right, the pub and retail and grocery are just two fundamentally different things. We go to the pub in good times and bad times. We go with family, we go with friends, we go with dates, we go for weddings, we go for funerals. You know, the pub is different than retail. But I said that I work for the UK's largest hospitality retailer. And what we can't shy away from is the fact that we buy a shit ton of beers, wine, spirits, snacks, nuts, foods, drinks, soft drinks, whatever it is. When's the last time you had scampi fries not at the pub, right? Like, we buy a lot of stuff and we sell a lot of stuff as well. So our ability to actually shape what people buy and the trends that we have in flavor profiles is huge. And we think about £1 in £5 is spent in the on-trade in a Stonegate site. So it's a huge market share that we have. And that means that our ability to influence some of those behaviors that then goes on to have this trickle effect in grocery is really, really big. So are we an operator or are we a retailer? Well, we kind of have to be both, right? And it's this happy middle, which is where I'm really focused on in my retail media strategy. If we can kind of take the beauty and the experience that we have as an operator that we give to our guests, but act like a retailer, very digital first, much more commercially savvy, that's where magic really happens. And that's at the heart of our retail media strategy. And that's why we have retail media that isn't boring as fuck. Retail media is fun in the pub, right? It's not baked beans, it's fun. And I do have to say, a couple of shout outs here, but Ed's in the room. I want to say thanks to Ed from Pitch. He's been helping us with lots of this strategy. So if you're offended I've said the F word a few many times, you can blame Ed. So what is our retail media strategy? Well, we've kept it really simple, taking the spirit of retail media, but bringing it to life in hospitality under our MiXR media network. And we have three things here, right? We have our app, which is our consumer-facing loyalty program. It's our first-party data set, creating a single customer view through all of our formats from breakfast through to late night. Then we have our screens. These are high-quality digital screens, integrated. Every single screen was integrated into each of our pubs. Many of our pubs are listed buildings. And it's really focused on digitizing the guest experience, where we show house content, endemic ads, and non-endemic ads, which we run through our partnership with Alight Media. And then we have insights. So we're just starting to scratch the surface on this, where we are building the first ever customer insights platform in hospitality to rival the likes of dunnhumby or Kantar. So that's MiXR in a nutshell. And what makes it special? Well, there's three words on here that you probably see in any given retail media deck. Reach. Can we tangibly influence consumer behavior at scale? Experience. Can we bring brands to life beyond just a pack shot, a promotion, a price? And impact. Can we drive sales and uplift? Well, spoiler alert, it's a yes to all three of those questions, but I'm going to dig into that a little bit. So if I start with reach. So we're 18 months into our journey here. So our MiXR app has 1.7 million downloads. We have 3,500 screens across our pub estate, which we installed in about 6 months. Sorry, Dean, if you heard him earlier, they have like 750 screens in 6 months. Beat you, no offense. I don't think he's here anymore, but I'm quite competitive with Dean. That means we have 350 million monthly media impressions, and 51% of the UK population live within a mile of a MiXR venue, and that's continuing to grow. And you'll see some of the examples on the screen. Our app is really focused on gamification. It's focused on interactivity. It's really about experience, which is more than just a transaction. It's not really a chore of a purchase. This is really engaging and experiential. And what that means is our first-party data set is quite unique in a couple of ways. One, we have about a 55-45 male-female split, which is usually kind of the inverse when you look in grocery. And we've really been able to tap into that elusive Gen Z audience. So 41% of all of our audience and our active users are 18 to 24. So I'll dig into that a bit in a second, but this is a really, really cool way that we've been able to tap into those quite cynical Gen Z audience that generally don't give away their first-party data. But if you also think about our sites and our venues, we have an average dwell time of 72 minutes, generally very positive, sociable, very open to influence, a lot of price elasticity. It's a significantly longer dwell time when sport is attached to it. And just generally, this is not, I think I said this before, but a chore of a purchase. We're not going to buy our baked beans. We're there to really experience and socialize together. And we asked over 7,000 people last year, if you enjoyed a product in one of our pubs, would you go on to buy it in the off-trade in grocery? And 81% said yes. So, you can get some real sampling, some new flavors. You can get some real exciting opportunities in one of our pubs that then influences future behavior. And then the other really cool thing we found is we asked people, where do you discover new food and drink brands? The first place they said was social media, and the second place was in the pub. And now, you might be able to figure this out, but I'm quite competitive. Sixth place was grocery. So our role in that decision-making journey, in that funnel, whether you love it or hate it, the marketing funnel, we are much higher up in that decision-making journey. But we can also still drive put pints in hand and drive product and conversion there and then. Now going back to our students. So we launched MiXR Students last year in September for freshers. And when we were planning out the product, we took a step back and ran loads of focus groups. And I know everyone's thinking I look really young. It has been a while since I've been at university. And the way that people go to university in 2025 is very different than when I did. The first thing I will say to you, despite what you see in the press, students and Gen Z, they do still drink and they fucking love a Jaeger bomb, which I find quite reassuring because I also do enjoy a Jaeger bomb every once in a while. But we really listened to what people want and we focused and built our product around our target guests, and then we monetized it around it. So everything is focused around value for experience, instant gratification, gamification. So we anchored our student discount as part of the app. We have a very digital, social, influencer first marketing approach. One of our campaigns at launch was MiXR, so people could win their dream night out in a MiXR branded helicopter. So we have a lovely guy who had a great time out in his helicopter. And what that means is we have 15% of all UK students signed up to MiXR. And in any given week, 70% of them are active in one of our pubs. And that means that a MiXR student is 50% more valuable to us than a non-MiXR student. So whilst they are very price driven, they are there very frequently, their frequency of purchase is there, and their dwell times are much longer. So they are a super, super engaged digital first audience. So that's a bit about reach. I'm going to dig into experience. And I have 3 different examples here I'm going to show you. Obviously, as you know, I absolutely love beer. So 2 of them are beer examples. I'm going to start with Stella. It's a very timely because we're in Wimbledon right now. But last year we partnered with them on a campaign called When It Rains, We Pour. And in just shy of 200 of our mainstream pubs, we partnered with them where we ran this creative on our digital screens, about 5% share of voice. And when using live APIs, when Wimbledon went into rain delay and play stops, it tipped up to about 50% share of voice. And we gave away free pints. We got drinks in hand really quickly. And then when play resumes, it switched back down to that 5% share of voice automatically. And then it was just kind of a brand awareness piece. And in those 2 weeks, in just a couple of hours of eligibility of giving away those free pints, we gave away 2,700 free drinks. It drove a 5% volume uplift across the 2-week campaign. And more importantly, we got 11 pieces of above the line coverage. So it really got and cemented the Stella brand into the national psyche around the Wimbledon partnership and also kind of the flavor profile they were able to enjoy. The most important stat, though, is it is Sir David Beckham approved. So I thought I'd just put that up so everyone can kind of look at David Beckham for a hot second. Another beer brand, because you know I'm such a big beer fan, was Beer Moretti. So we partnered with them at Christmas last year. And the central insight to this campaign was around Christmas is the time that we socialize more than ever, but it's also the time that we're lonelier than ever. And it's not just that stereotype of kind of the older demographic of being kind of home alone. It's younger people, 18 to 35-year-olds are statistically the most lonely, but they don't really talk about it. And so we partnered with Moretti on a social first campaign, starting with our app, where we drove trade through triple points. And then during the month of December, we had an advent calendar. So every single day, people could open the door and get a free drink, a free offer, a free pints or something like that. And we had a huge amount of uptake on that. I think our partner Playable said it was the highest ever engagement in a game they'd ever seen. We also had screen content running through all of our sites, both trade driven and then also bringing the Moretti above the line creative through the line. And then everything was kind of connected to a CRM campaign. Bring back to that kind of core insight around loneliness at Christmas. We also had a social first piece of content that we created together called Pub Alone. And I think I have enough time to show you the 30-second cut.
Where are you guys? I made them disappear.
Definitely was not kind of blurring the lines of Home Alone's intellectual property. I guess one of the things I definitely know and have learned from this job is to have fantastic relationships with your lawyers. So that's a top tip I can give you. But again, that Pub Alone creative drove great cut through. And not only was it a really, really holistic, great brand partnership and synergy and overlap of our two brands, it actually drove some fantastic results. So 38% uplift on Moretti during the busiest time of year, a very cluttered, complex, busy draft beer category, driving that level of result was huge. 56% of people that bought into Moretti during that 2-month campaign were new to brand. Again, Moretti, very established high penetration brands, that was huge for them. That meant a 4.7 percentage point share growth. And the biggest thing there is 42% repeat purchase rate. Now, the repeat purchase window was January, when people generally are feeling a bit poor, they're not going to the pub, they're doing dry January. So to continue to extend the impact of Moretti into a time when they're really struggling to sell pints of beer was huge. And the most important thing then was that because we were focusing on addressing loneliness at Christmas, we donated 5p for every pint we sold, which meant we donated about £50,000 to loneliness charities like the Marmalade Trust. Now, both of those are both endemic opportunities, but I wanted to bring to life the non-endemic partnerships we have. This is all in partnership with the Light Media, and we work with a number of brands from Vodafare, Betfair, Disney Plus, New Balance, and even Drink Aware, so kind of drink and drive brands. But Netflix is one of our lead partners in 2025, and every weekend you'll see Netflix on about 400 of our sites, Thursday to Sunday, promoting their latest content. And what that means is this is not an opportunity for them to drive trade in the way that we can see with Moretti or Stella, right? This is a full awareness driving campaign where they see the high dwell times, they see the screens that work just like a Deco or a Clear Channel or Global, but those dwell times and experience and open-minded nature that people have to kind of advertise their latest content. And the study we did with LoopMe said it showed an 8% increase in ad recall, a 5% increase in brand awareness, and 6% in brand sentiment. So for a really established, well-known brand like Netflix, really great result, again, because of the relevancy, the high quality, the targeting, and the dwell times of our audiences. Now, it wouldn't be retail media if I didn't talk about impact. This is the bread and butter, so can we actually drive sales? Well, the answer is bloody yes, we can. Our average campaign uplift is 12%. When I was in my previous role, I would have been very excited to have 12% at any given time, and that is our average, that's our benchmark. We see a lot of campaigns, particularly for brands that are sort of below the shelf or things that don't naturally come to mind, see significantly higher. 18% repeat rates, so we're driving people back in the post period. And we also ask people, have you changed your order based on stuff you've seen on screen? So that could be endemic, non-endemic, or house content advertising. And 72% of people said yes. And by that, I don't mean you come in expecting to buy a beer and then you buy a cocktail or something like that. I'm probably one of those prime target audiences where I go in wanting a cocktail, but I don't know what, and I see a great piece of contextually relevant, high quality, disruptive content like that Chambord piece right there. And of course, it's going to influence my behavior. I would not go into a pub and plan to buy a Kir Royale, but if I go in and I see that creative, I will point to it and say, I want that, please, Mr. Bartender. And actually, the kind of anecdotal fact I can't really quantify is that we ran out of Chambord, so we had to take the content down. And then the other piece of content you can see up there is an example of gamification. This is one that we've targeted to students over the summer. And we see 50% engagement rates on our gamification. So people that play the game go on to redeem their voucher or price or offer, whatever it is, 50%, which is significantly higher than what you'd expect to see in any other coupon. So again, that interactivity, that targeted, that personalization is really resonating with pub audiences. And we're just getting started, 18 months in. So where are we going next? Well, more pubs. We're going to expand into more of our 4,500 pub bar venue estates. More tech. That's more growth in capabilities, more solutions, more things that brands want to buy, but things that also will influence guests. And more differentiation. And by that, I mean, we're going to continue to take the spirit of retail media, but make it contextually relevant for the on-trade experience. We're not just going to copy and paste what every other grocer or retailer does. We're going to make it relevant for what we do. So, is retail media ready for hospitality? Well, can we reach people? I think we can say yes. Can we bring brands to life? Absolutely yes. And can we drive sales? Absolutely yes. So, end of day 2, the DigiAd stage. Is retail media ready for hospitality? What is the future? Well, retail media, I can pretty confidently say, is no longer confined to bricks and clicks. For me, retail media is pints, pubs, and personalization. Thank you.